Hello, I'm Dr. Ron Charles. Welcome today. We serve as missionaries to Egypt and other countries. My wife and I spend most of our time in the Middle East, particularly in Egypt and Sudan and Libya. But we also have other emphases in different parts of the world, which other members of our family takes care of that. As an example, my youngest son is our director of our Latin America outreach, and he ministers in Ecuador and in Colombia, in Mexico, and Guatemala, and Venezuela. And he has had tremendous results in those areas, and but most especially among the drug cartels. Those that are very active on the Mexico-U.S. border, and he's been down there ministering to those people for at least 20 years. And then the drug cartels in Colombia over the last 10 years or so. And so today I want to tell you one of the experiences that he and I had. He invited me down to be with him and to build a church actually in Colombia. And we were building this church / combination clinic, medical clinic in the Amazon basin or in the Amazon River. And down there you have to drive over the Andes, over the mountains to get down into the Amazon River. And what happens when you're going over these mountains, the roads are very, very narrow, very small. And so the terrorists put rocks out in the road so that your car will have to come to a stop. So you're out there and have to clean out the rocks so you can continue. And so we did that. We were moving the rocks out of the way that they had placed to stop us. And while we were doing that, then the terrorists attacked us. There were about 25 that attacked. And of course, they stole everything from the car and took everything that we had on us and all of that. And then as they were leaving, the leader of the group looked over and saw that I had a Bible sitting on my seat next to me. And so he said, "You're a Catholic." I said, "No, I'm not Catholic." Now, in Colombia, the Catholic Church works very closely with the government. In fact, they even, many times, if a terrorist comes in for a confession, then the government will be there to arrest them, even there in the church. And so he said, "You're a Catholic." And I said, "No, I'm not Catholic." He says, "You have a Catholic Bible, you have a Catholic book." I said, "Yes, I have a Bible, but I'm not Catholic." And he said, "Okay, do you believe this book?" I said, "Yes, I believe it." He said, "You believe everything in the book?" I said, "Yes, I do." He says, "You believe that God gave his son for someone so that they would not have to die?" I said, "Yes, I believe that." He says, "You believe that totally?" I said, "Yes, I do." He says, "We'll see." And so he went away and then come back leading a little boy, maybe 11, 12 years old. And he says, "This is my son. He is my only son. Just like this is your son. Is that right?" And I said, "Yes, he is my son." He says, "Well, this son of mine, he broke the rules of the camp. And now we are taking him to execute him because I am the leader. I must set example. My family must set example. And so he has to die because he broke the rules of the camp. But you believe this book?" And I said, "Yes, I do." He says, "Okay, then what I will do is that I will take your son and I will execute your son, and then I will have my son go free." And I says, "So you will set your son free if I give you my son?" He says, "Yes, I will." I said, "Well, I have to speak to my son about this." And before we got there that day, my son and I both received a dream from the Lord. Different dreams, but saying the same thing, that today we're going to have the opportunity to minister to the drug cartels, and some of them will be saved. And so we were anticipating great evangelistic times, maybe even witnessing times, but we weren't expecting this. And so I told my son, he said he would set the boy free. And my son told me, he says, Dad, I'm ready. Whatever I have to do to set this boy free, I'll do it. And besides, 1 second after I am dead, Dad, I'll be in the arms of Jesus. So there's nothing to fear. And then I had to make the hardest decision I've ever had to make in my life. And so I told the man, I said, can I guarantee that your son will go free? He says, yes, I guarantee. I said, okay, then you can have my son, because my son has agreed to give his life to save your son. And then the man started crying. He said, I don't need your son, but I did need the truth. And I had to know the truth. If you truly believe this, and now I know that you are a man of God, and I know that you believe what is written in that book. And I says, before you go, before you say anything else, can I guarantee your son will be free? He said, yes, I promise you, my son will go free. I said, okay. Then they left. So my son and I went on down into the Amazon. We started building the church, and we got maybe halfway finished with the church over a period of about a week. And then one night, and then we had services in the unfinished church every night. So this one particular night, we were having the service, and in the middle of the service, this man, this terrorist, leader of the group, and 4 others came to church. They left their guns on the outside, and they came in, and they sat through the entire service. And then after the service was, the preaching was complete, we gave an altar call, and all 5 of those men, the leader and the 4, came forward and accepted Jesus as their personal Savior. They gave testimony to the fact that about him going to kill his son, and the fact that we believed in Jesus so much that we were willing to give my own son, and that convinced him to give his heart to Jesus and to give his heart to this man in this book, this Jesus. And so not only did they accept Christ that night, but later on, after the church was built and after it was dedicated, then that particular leader of that terrorist group, who was no longer a leader of the terrorist group because he had left, he became the pastor of that particular church. And so God moves in mysterious ways. The dream that we had, both he, myself, and my son, that we were going to have the opportunity to bring the cartels to Christ, actually happened, but certainly not the way we anticipated, and not the way that we would have chosen to make it happen. But God's means and God's method is always much better than anything that we would want. And we would want to, and we would never want to anticipate what God wanted. So in your life, pray the prayer, accept the promise, accept the guarantee, but don't try to dictate to God how He is going to answer your prayer, because He always does it in mysterious ways and for the benefit of His kingdom and His plan. May the Lord bless you.